This clip is brought to you by Brooke Day from IG Wealth Management. For investments, mortgages, and insurance, contact him now, brooke.day@ig.ca.
So yeah, that's like the ancient example, maybe not ancient, but the historical example. But now we have modern examples like the mega churches where your pastor's a celebrity and he's breaking through the mesh and with cheerleaders on both sides and jumbo jets and all that stuff. Hopefully it's a glaring, obvious abuse of what churches are kind of called to represent. I'm interested in laying down a proper biblical framework. How should this look? Because we just talked about how it shouldn't look.
Yeah.
How should it look?
Yeah, so even like the example you brought up there at the end, like how churches use their funds, how Christians use their funds, matters. And so ultimately, like you can see how God talks about wealth throughout the Old Testament and through the New. But I think for us as Christians, like Jesus' teaching, and again, the Bible talks more about wealth and money than it talks about anything else. And so I think the best place for us to go when talking about finance would be like somewhere like Matthew 6, where Jesus is in the middle of the Sermon on the Mount, and he talks about how we ought to live our lives. He says, verse 19 says, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroy, where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, your heart will be also. The eye is a lamp unto the body. So then if your eye is clear, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light that is in you is darkness, how great is the darkness? It says this, no one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and wealth. The word, some of your renderings might put it as God and money. The actual word is mammon, which represents a Greek word for wealth, and actually became throughout the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages, through that process, that word actually became this picture or figure of a demon, of a pagan god of wealth. Right. So it wasn't at the time that this was written, but it kind of took that on. And I don't think that's actually a wrong view, where I think a lot of people, and you can look at our world, wealth is their god. Their stomach is their god. And one of the reasons why money is such a hot topic is if you want to tick people off, start poking fun at their gods. The megachurch pastor, for example, or the term celebrity pastor, I think, is an oxymoron. If you have a whole bunch of people liking what you're saying, you're probably not saying the right things.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So this whole like popular, sexy dude on stage in skinny jeans and whatever, like that thing, like it's so tired. But the question I always ask is, okay, how is God getting his glory? So no matter what's happening, whether it's spiritual gifts and practice, and there's a whole spectrum of that, whether it's how someone's or a body of believers or whoever is utilizing their wealth. The question I ask, okay, where's God getting his glory? How is God getting his glory? And so we as Christians, especially Christian leaders, should never want the glory to land with us. We should always want the glory to go up. And I say this to my team when we're getting ready to lead worship or do a service or when we're praying. And I pray this often. I'm always praying that we would be excellent enough that we are not distracting with how much we suck, but we're not so good that people forget Jesus in it and see us instead. So I think there's a nice sweet spot there where we are not distracting and we're good enough to throw glory up where it's supposed to go. So I think that's the first part is, who's our God? Is it God or is it something else? You can't serve both. You can't love both. Jesus says you're going to love one more than the other, actually end up hating the other. And so I think there's a lot of conversation that I've had with fellow brothers and sisters where they have kind of like a wound, but they don't want to talk about it or deal with it. And then they also have a God who's not God, it's wealth. And they don't want you to poke your finger at that. And so they have some kind of broken theology or broken understanding of wealth to kind of shield themselves from actually being honest with their idol.